Hello everyone and welcome back to my The Young and Restless 24 YouTube channel. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Chance comforts Summer. Meanwhile, Tracy shares surprising news with Jack. Sharon and Phyllis reel over the prisoner's trial. Phyllis was asleep after getting the cure to the bane. While Phyllis was passed out, Sharon spoke with the mysterious prisoner over the speaker. All the kidnapper would say is that it was in particular, just in trial and nothing further. That made Sharon realize they were in real trouble and might no way get out of there. After Sharon's screaming woke up Phyllis, the poisoning victim learned the rearmost update. Sharon has stayed calm during utmost of this fire. Still, that was because Sharon had to believe there was stopgap of them getting out of there. With this new disclosure that they're just lab rats, Sharon and Phyllis take control ever. While Phyllis and Sharon are in a hopeless situation, their control doesn't last long. Latterly in the week, the two women fall into a trap. It seems their only stopgap is that the stolen van can be set up. The van has to be close to the abandoned internal health installation. As further time passes by, Summer gets more upset that commodity terrible has happened. Chance is doing everything he can to find Phyllis and Sharon. Still, there isn't a whole lot to go on right now except a stolen white van with no windows. While Summer panics about her mama, she'll get comfort in Chance's arms. Chance will do his stylish to assure Summer. Still, Chance knows that the further time that passes, the less likely the victims are to be set up alive if they're set up at all. Tracy will partake surprising news with Jack. Could this be about Alan? A daily exercise clip shows what appears to be a semi-proposal. Tracy is surely surprised by it, but perhaps it's too much too fast. The shocking verity behind the hijacking is set to take a dark turn as the identity of the prisoner comes to light. Sharon and Phyllis will be left reeling when they discover who has been keeping them internee, but who could it conceivably be? Ian appears to have defied death, as substantiated by his eyes fluttering open and a rustle escaping his lips in the ambulance. Although the morgue reported his cremation, it's possible he managed to convert someone to help him in maintaining the vision of his own death. Yet, if he were truly lurking in the murk seeking revenge, wouldn't his sights be set on Victor for his earlier attempt on Ian's life? Given that Ian was in the process of recovering from a life-hanging injury, it seems doubtful that he's the one behind the chaos. Although it doesn't mean he's not still alive nearly recovering, it's doubtful that he's the bone. Who abducted Phyllis and Sharon? This leads us to an interesting hint that Billy will reveal in the occasion raising on March 10th. After dismissing Ian as a suspect, Billy starts to entertain the idea that a different madcap could be behind the chaos. Still, it suggests that the person holding Phyllis and Sharon interned might be an insane manly figure. The two women are trapped in an old psychiatric institution called Havenhurst, if he's onto commodity. Originally, Sharon suspected that their prisoner could be a former croaker or case from the installation. Let's cave into the case proposition and consider the unsettling possibility that the individual orchestrating this agony is indeed mentally unstable. When Alan first crossed paths with Sharon, he casually mentioned his involvement in a cerebral study and expressed a desire to solicit her. He was in the process of writing a book, which is an important detail to consider. Given the circumstances, it might be time to review the notion that Alan is who he claims to be. What if Martin, the twin who apparently didn't survive the woeful deck fall in France, has been living under the guise of Alan all this time? We see and overlook the moment when Alan entered the Abbott manse alongside Tracy and conducted as if he were a complete foreigner to the place. Martin was the one who lived, Alan the one who failed? Observers will flash back the two identical halves floundering and falling from a high deck, the worried binary Martin having failed, or did he? Granted, it would have taken some doing to switch apparel with a dead binary on top of him so Martin would appear to be Alan. The reason Martin didn't fate the Abbott house is because he'd no way been there, unlike Alan, who'd been a friend of Ashley. Having worked for Alan in the history, he'd transcribed notes from their sessions, which fueled his belief that he could perform Alan's part indeed more effectively. When the occasion arose, Martin decided to impersonate Alan and engage with Ashley, pushing the boundaries of his hypnotism ways to the limit. Let's cave into the peculiar dilemma of Sharon and Phyllis, Doesn't it feel like a crazy, extreme interpretation of remedy? It's as if the songwriter believes they're furnishing help, while in reality, they're casting a living agony. Sharon will consider the unsettling notion that someone wants them to fate their own brilliance through the riddle and theatrics skirting their situation. This adds another subcast to the riddle that aligns impeccably with Martin. Given that Alan was conducting exploration for a book and sought to speak with Sharon, it's presumptive that Martin dug deep into her history with Phyllis. After all, it would bear significant disquisition to uncover the specific song that played during the event where their battle passed. Spontaneously, suggesting that the individual orchestrating these events doesn't need to have an intimate knowledge of Sharon and Phyllis. What matters is their amenability to claw into the details now. Let's readdress the suggestions to gain a clearer understanding of the situation. The abductor might be a former psychiatric case who has constrained Phyllis and Sharon into a crooked game suggesting a depraved remedy session. It's entirely presumptive that Martin is the architect behind this, aiming to demonstrate that his radical ways can yield results. And just suppose Alan returns to Genoa City with Tracy this week. A little too accessibly, Alan makes his return. It appears he's ready to pop the question to Tracy in the rearmost exercise. Could the show be setting Tracy up for a ruinous shock? Are we about to uncover that Martin has been deceiving her each on and is the architect behind the hijacking fermentation? Spoilers for the forthcoming week of the cleaner hint at a violent showdown between Sharon and Phyllis as they fight for their lives when the situation spirals out of control. Stay tuned for further prognostications and updates on the shocking developments ahead. Damien is veritably private. He also has a fierce temper, as his friend and now hand, Holden told Audra. Damien couldn't believe what he saw. Holden was drooling up Audra. Rivers was infuriated that Owen's character was getting involved with Annick's girlfriend. Audra told her current swain, Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, that Holden was in familiarity. Nate originally accepted that answer but was leery. Nate's lunch with his family couldn't have gone more. Nate hoped this would come true as Damien opened up to his mama, Amy. Damien was pleased to hear that the advance he and Amy had told her decision to accept Nate's help. He connected Amy with an oncologist, and that meeting went well. The posterior trip Amy took with the croaker to Chicago, Illinois, will hopefully lead to real progress. Amy now wants as important redundant time as she can have with her son. Their conciliation could help heal her and give Damien with demanded solace. The subject title is Ent News. But what's interesting is that Audra might not be over him. Why differently agree to another lunch when he returns from Los Angeles, California? It's fair to believe that Audra thinks she can manage Holden. Yet, that seems hard to imagine because he's easily no way gotten her out of his system. Nate's recognition of the moping chemistry between Audra and Holden spells trouble on multiple fronts. Damien is working to try and stop this problem from growing by transferring his hand back to LA. Meanwhile, observers probably feel they haven't seen the last of Holden. A triangle exists or could form between Nate, Audra, and Holden. But that could lead to the end of Holden's employment with Damien. Still, Holden's incapability to restrain himself when Audra is concerned implies that he'll choose a chance to be with her again versus maintaining his job with Damien. Still, observers can presume about the implicit employment openings Holden might have among those who want to use him as an information source. If so, Amy made a mistake by getting involved with Nathan Hastings. She could no way bring herself to tell her late hubby or Damien the verity. So, Damien grew up believing that the man who was his mama's hubby was naturally his father. He also inaptly concluded that she shut down when his father was dying. Pettiford is a solid actor. The character she portrays adds uproariousness to this part of the plot. Then's hoping that Nate's medical referral proves fruitful because there's plenitude of plot space for Amy to play in Genoa City, Wisconsin.